What's up, everybody out there? Welcome to another video of The Bad Philosopher. I am your host, Rick Knight. In this video, I would like to go over the word terrorism, what it is and what it means, the definition of it. This way we could try to get through this nonsensical argument that we have, that I've been having online with a lot of different people lately about what exactly a terrorist is. People tend to think that we use the word terrorist to describe the mass shooting or mass killing of people who happen to be black and brown, but we don't call white people terrorists. The fact of the matter is that there is a definition behind the word, and if you take that definition, if you understand it and you apply it to these mass killings, you can see if that person fits into that category or not. So let's go over the definition. The definition for terrorism is when a person commits an act of terror for political or religious means. A political or religious agenda. It can also be for for racial or for any other kind of ideological causes. But let's stick to the main ones for now, which happens to be political or religious. That seems to be the reason why most terrorists do what they do. It has nothing to do with skin color, although it can be if it's a racial agenda that you want to push. Other than hate. Hate is another crime. If I decide as a Jew, if I decide to take a gun and go shoot non-Jews and just say I hate non-Jews, and therefore that would be a hate crime. But if I did it to kill people because I'm looking to advance Jewish people in the country or something like that, and it wasn't necessarily hate, then it can be classified as terrorism. Of course, political or religious, if I did it for religious reasons, it's an act of terror, and political as well. But I'm arguing with people online, and it seems that they don't understand this. They think that it's racism. They think that we only call black and brown people terrorists. In fact, if you take the definition that I just gave you and you apply it to all of the shootings that we've had, you'll see that most shootings we have here in the U.S. are not terrorism. It's not an act of terror. When foreigners do these shootings, typically we're used to, when it comes to mass killings done by a foreigner, it's usually fits into two different categories. One category is either it is terrorism because it was done for religious or political reasons, like when we have Islamic terrorism here in the country, or it's done by gang activity, which happens in like with MS-13 and with Mexican gangs out west and stuff like that, tend to commit these acts. It's usually never it doesn't classify as a mass shooting in that aspect. It's usually gang related. Therefore, it's not an act of terror. It's not a hate crime. It doesn't go in the group of someone snapped. That's gang activity. It's the same thing when the mob does a hit on someone. It's organized crime, gang activity, or whatever the case may be. The reason why we have these definitions for these different things is so we could try to understand why people do what they do, try to understand the motivation behind them, try to figure out a way to see the telltale signs of this, try to find ways to change people's behavior so we don't have these types of events happening. But when I'm online playing around, arguing with people, it seems that they always want to invoke race into this, and it has nothing to do with race. It's a very simple concept. If you have a political or religious agenda behind committing these acts of terror, that will make you a terrorist. If you do it for hate reasons, it's a hate crime. If you do it because you snapped, then you're just a sick individual who snapped. You might say, oh, but wait a minute, what is the difference? Why people do it? An act of terror is an act of terror. A plane experiencing mechanical failure and crashing into the ground is an act of terror. We don't call it terrorism. A drunk driver blowing a red light and crashing into a crowded street corner running over a bunch of people is not an act of terror, even though it spreads terror. It's a very simple concept. Burning buildings could be terrorizing, but it's not an act of terror unless someone set the building on fire with a political or religious agenda. It's almost shameful that we even have to have this debate with people, that we even have to say this to other people, to adults who should have gotten at least that much education, or at least have that much common sense or critical thinking ability to look for themselves and figure out why people, why do we call it what we call it? Now, when I notice all of this talk, I was on that side too, where I just, I thought everybody was a terrorist. I was like, what do you mean he's not a terrorist? He took a gun, he went into the thing, he shot everybody up. Of course he's a terrorist. They're all terrorists. And then I had to get schooled, and I had to be, put in my place that there's a definition behind the action, behind what they do. That the motivation is how we classify them, and there's a reason why. And now I understand that it's not a racial thing, is what I'm trying to get at. That's all I have for you today. I just wanted to throw that out there because I recently was in an argument, and the person didn't understand this. And what he did was he kept posting memes of different shooters that made the front page, and the caption when it says like, nut job, snaps and kills everyone. And then he posted a meme of a person that was called a terrorist who happens to be a Muslim. And he was saying, you white people always call us terrorists, but you always say when you do it, it's, he snapped, he was a good boy and he just snapped, we don't know what happened. This couldn't be further from the truth. Even with these mass shooters, these white mass shooters, typically they're not good boys and we don't know what happened. Usually there's plenty of telltale signs. It just either goes unreported by the family, or the city, state, and local government kind of drops the ball on it, like the shooting in Florida where the kid was reported multiple times to police, to FBI. Children's Services knew about him, and all three agencies kind of dropped the ball on him. They could have prevented that shooting. It's not classified as an act of terror because he did not do it for political or religious reasons. It's very simple, straightforward. The definition, why people can't understand it, why they still manage to turn this into some kind of racial thing is beyond me. The lack of critical thinking skills on people's part it's staggering. It's hard to survive and push forward into the future and try to make a better environment for all of us and a better society when people are hung up on racial issues over everything. There's nothing that can't be a racial issue. Not understanding why we call people terrorists and why we say it was a hate crime and why we say it's a person who just had a psychological breakdown and snapped, and turning it into a racial situation, I think it's you're just grasping at low-hanging fruit, and it's just another way to call out bigotry and racism against us. And I don't know what to say. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's not conducive to ending the racial tensions that we have between us. It's not helpful. It's not going to help bridge the gap in any way, shape, or form. It's just further pushing us away. It's further accusing us of being racist again in another way, in another category. It's causing people to have more resentment and be more resentful towards us because they feel that we are labeling them as something based on their skin color when we were only labeling them that based on their actions. The motivation actually behind their actions is what we're really classifying them as terrorists. So I hope the video was helpful. I'm pretty sure most of you already knew this, and I'm pretty much just preaching to the choir at this point. But I just wanted to get that out there. Hopefully I gave you some good ideas, some good points that you could bring up to someone else when you're in this argument. And that's it. So if you have any comments, any questions, if you disagree with me, if you want to insult me, please be funny. Just leave a comment down there at the bottom. Please subscribe, hit that bell up there. I think it's in this corner. It might be in this corner. I'm not sure. Just help me out. Trying to spread the word. I'm trying to bring some kind of logic and reasoning to our society the best way I possibly can. I'm trying to play my part to engage or to advocate us engaging in dialogue and speaking about things that make people uncomfortable, and try to clear everything up and try to come to reasonable solutions. So help me out. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm out.